Hello from David and from me. Welcome to Tuesday's Anglia Tonight.
First, it's the scourge of a generation, and today experts from around the country met here in our region to tackle excessive and binge drinking among students.
The UK has one of the worst records for underage drinking in Europe, and doctors say it's affecting the nation's health.
Today, a conference was held in Northampton to look at ways of changing Britain's booze culture. Our correspondent Claire McGlasson joins us from there now. Claire, it's an age-old problem, isn't it?
Well, yes, there's nothing new about the idea of students drinking. The difference these days, of course, is that alcohol can be much cheaper, which means they can get more pints for their pound. According to a recent survey into binge drinking, 17 to 19-year-olds admitted that they will have an average of 30 units on 2 drinking sessions, which looks a little something like this, and it's a well-trodden path. They'll usually start the evening with cheaper alcohol bought in the supermarket, move on to wine or beer, and then as the evening progresses we go on to alco pops and shots, but ultimately, of course, the night can end up with a trip to hospital.
Broken bones, concussion, the threat of violence or sexual assault. These are the words of an accident and emergency doctor who sees the results of nights on the town. Even on nights like this recent carnage event in Norwich, which ended peacefully, students met with a common purpose: getting drunk.
A lot of them come in just because they're drunk. Somebody's found them on the roadside, or their friends are worried about them and have brought them in, called an ambulance and brought them in. You could even die, actually, because if you are with friends who are as drunk as you are and you've had a significant head injury, for example, it is possible that you could bleed in the brain and nobody knows about it.
In Luton today, students at the University of Bedfordshire enjoyed a lunchtime pint.
You can't call every student an alcoholic, but having said that, the people that I know can tend to drink quite a bit.
It's a social thing to go out and have a drink. Sometimes you don't always go out to get drunk, but you just do.
Kind of limit sometimes how much I drink on a night out, partly because of money, and just if I don't feel like getting drunk, I don't feel like getting drunk.
But it seems for many the problem starts before they get to university. Britain's the 4th worst nation in the EU for underage drinking. Half of 16 and 17-year-olds drink alcohol at least once a week. The latest figures show girls are now more likely to binge drink than boys. 18's the legal limit, but almost 2/3 of 16 and 17-year-olds usually buy alcohol themselves. And perhaps most worryingly, most of them see drinking as a positive thing.
Well, can I just welcome you back to the second half of the conference on student alcohol misuse.
Academics from across the country met at the University of Northampton today at a conference devoted to discussing drinking. They say it's embedded in the student culture. Young people drink to fit in.
There's this real fashion for posting photographs of themselves when they're drunk on Facebook. And what was particularly interesting about that for me was the extent to which they saw it as replicating the kind of celebrity drunk photos that you get in the news media. One of my participants said it was like your mates are the paparazzi, you know, you fall over, they take a photograph of you and it appears on Facebook the next day.
One of the biggest problems, according to Dr. Nichols, is that it's the risks that make drinking so exciting. Put simply, students are prepared to wake up with a hangover if it means they've got a tale to tell about the night before.
Claire, back to you. Is there really a solution to this problem, or are young people just going to have to learn for themselves?
Well, there are no easy answers from the academics today, but there are plenty of ploys to try and curb drinking. The government, of course, has just announced an increased tax on strong cider, and here at the Students' Union they're taking measures to try and encourage responsible drinking, a minimum price of 50p per unit. Also, they're limiting 1 double shot per customer per trip to the bar. But there's one thing that is making a difference, and that's money. Students saying that in a recession, when they're having to pay to put themselves through university, it's necessity that's making them rein in their drinking.
OK, Claire, thank you. In other news, the body of a soldier from Suffolk who was killed in Afghanistan has been brought home to British soil.
Jonathan Woodgate was fatally wounded by a grenade during a patrol with the Household Cavalry in Helmand Province last Friday. He was waiting to board a helicopter at the end of what would have been his last tour.
Today, friends and family of the charismatic 26-year-old travelled to Wootton Bassett in Wiltshire for the sad homecoming. Serena Sandhu reports.
Lavenham is a village determined to honour its dead. Early this morning, friends and family of Joe Woodgate gathered to catch the bus to Wootton Bassett to welcome him home for the final time. Lance Corporal of Horse Jonathan Woodgate survived 4 tours of duty, escaping unhurt from a friendly fire attack on his tank 7 years ago in Iraq. He was described as the luckiest soldier in the British Army. But on Friday in Afghanistan, just minutes from safely boarding a helicopter at the end of his tour, he was killed by a grenade thrown from behind a wall.
Towards the end I thought that he was actually going to make it back because he seemed to be Mr. Indestructible. Unfortunately that wasn't to be his fate, and yeah, it's just a shocking thing for the village.
It was unexpected. However, I think today it's better that it's coming home, definitely.
At 11 o'clock this morning, the RAF plane carrying Joe's body, along with those of 2 comrades, touched down. A private ceremony was held for the families of all 3 casualties of war, before the public salute of Wootton Bassett. The town fell silent once more to pay their respects to the fallen, the heavy rain adding to the sadness and poignancy of another day no one wanted to see. Lance Corporal Woodgate's family say they'll always be lucky to have known him. Today they just wanted to give him a hero's welcome that he so roundly deserved. Serena Sandhu, Anglia News.
An investigation is underway in Ipswich after the body of a woman was recovered from the River Gipping. The alarm was raised just after midday when the body was spotted near Princes Street. The area was cordoned off as inquiries got underway. The woman hasn't been identified yet, and her death is still being treated as unexplained.
Next tonight, the hospital who turned away an injured toddler 15 minutes before it was due to close